Hello, Southern Tennessee Mom. Today we're going to make some homemade biscuits. I want to show you how I do it. You may do it different, and that's fine. But I just laid some tinfoil on my table so I wouldn't have such a hard mess to clean up. I still have to clean it up, but not as bad, I guess. But I just put a little bit of Scotch tape on the edges, hold it down. And I do not have a biscuit cutter. I've lost mine. So I've got just a coffee mug that I'm letting sit here in the flour. I have lined the tinfoil with flour just so the dough will have something so it won't stick to the tinfoil. I have a rolling pin here, and I've actually rolled it in the flour, and I just want to light dust it all over it. That way the dough won't stick to the flour to the rolling pin, excuse me. Alright, just like that. And you want a little bit on your hands as well. Now in this big bowl here, I have got a sifter, and in the sifter I've already put 2 cups of flour. Now I'm using all-purpose. Excuse me. You can use all-purpose flour in this, but you'll need to add some salt to it and some baking soda and some baking powder. I am using self-rising flour, so I don't have to add salt, but I'm going to sift my flour in my bowl just so it's a really fine flour mix for my biscuits. Now I want you to see the difference. See how that's kind of lumpy? Now look at this in the bottom of that bowl. Look how fine that is. Can you see that? How fine that is? I'm going to add about a half a cup of flour back in the sifter. Just so I can use it on my dough when I lay it out here to roll out. And I'll show you. Okay. Now see how fine that is? That's what you want. Now I am going to add some baking powder to mine. And I've got a tablespoon here. I'm going to do 2 and a half tablespoons of baking powder. I have 1 stick of butter. It's kind of melted. That's what I want. So I'm just gonna put all that in there. Wash my hands here. Okay, that 1 stick is equal to half a cup of butter. I'm also gonna add some of the Crisco butter flavor to this mixture. I'm gonna do a half a cup on it. best way is just put your hands in here and cut up the butter. Now you can take a fork if you want and cut this up. You can even use, they make a tool, is a butter cutter for pastries or for dough. Sometimes I use that, but I'm just going to cut my butter up today. And that's what it looks like. It's the butter is just cut up in the mixture with the flour and the baking soda. So now I'm going to start off with a cup of milk. Now you can use buttermilk in this. I don't have any buttermilk right now, but if you want to make buttermilk biscuits, you can, if you just have regular milk, you can take some milk and add some lemon juice to it. You can also add vinegar if you want, but lemon juice I think works just as well. And let's let it sit for about 5 minutes. And it'll sour the milk and you'll have buttermilk. But I'm just going to use regular 2% milk. Now you can use any kind of milk, whole milk, whatever, skim milk in these, whatever, but I'm using 2%. I'm just going to slowly pour it in. And now you can put this in a hand mixer too, but I've always made biscuits like this, just so I know if I need to add a little bit of flour. That's where your sifter is going to come in. Okay, I'm going to need to sift a little bit of flour in there, because you don't want your biscuit dough to be too wet, but you don't want it to be too dry either. Kind of in between. And I only use a half a cup of milk in that, so that's all we're going to do. We'll pour that back in the jug. So I'm going to sift just a little bit more flour on this and mix it up. And when you have it to about that consistency, that is a good biscuit dough. So clean my hands off here. Now that we have this, what we're going to do is I'm going to pour it on top of this, on top of the flour. I'm going to put a little flour on my hands like that, so the dough won't stick to my hands as bad. I'm just going to form it into a ball. I'm going to add a little bit more flour just on top of it. And we're going to let it sit there for just a few minutes. I'm going to cover it up with a paper towel. Now you can let it sit in the bowl too if you want, but I just find it easier to sit here, or you can cover it with a towel too, a clean towel. I just put my oven on to start preheating to 450. And so we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes and we'll come back to it. Okay, it has rested for 5 minutes. Now you can put it in the refrigerator too if you want to. I just chose to leave mine out. Alright, so now I'm gonna take my rolling pin and I'm still gonna have a mess to clean up, but not as bad. And while the dough was setting and rising, I went ahead and washed up my dishes. I don't like to leave the dishes to last. Okay. Now, I've already sprayed the cookie sheet here with, I just used butter spray. And I'm going to take my coffee cup and we'll put it in my dough and just kind of twist it, and then it'll pop the biscuit right out, okay? I'm going to lay it on my pan. Now I'm going to lay on about, probably about a ½ inch apart. You want to make sure you've got a little bit of space in between them. And this is an old cookie sheet. Sorry, I haven't bought a new one. But it's been well loved, well used. So this is not going to make a whole lot of biscuits. If you want more, you want to just double everything or just make another batch. Now, if you're making it for like a restaurant or something, or like a big family dinner or breakfast, you want to, you can take a whole bag of flour and ½ gallon of milk, and I don't know, I always done it by handfuls, probably about a cup of butter, and probably about a cup of shortening, or you can just use shortening or raw butter, and then probably about 4 tablespoons of baking soda if you use self-rising flour. Now, if you can see this, I have only rolled up to where the biscuit dough is about, let's see if I can pick this up without ripping it, ½ inch thick. I don't want them too thin and I don't want them too thick. That's a little high right there. I need to get me one of those dough mats. You don't want to work your dough too much, knead it too much, because it will dry out your dough. So I'm just trying not to manhandle it too much. My daddy used to make what he called cat head biscuits. He would take and roll, instead of rolling out his dough, he would just take and pinch some off and throw it on the cookie sheet and then bake it, and they would come out huge. And he called them cat head biscuits. They'd be about this big around. Alright, that made a whole cookie sheet, so that's 12 biscuits. I'm gonna probably see if I can get maybe one more biscuit on there. I just don't want the biscuits to touch. And it's rolling it out and make a patty. Patty biscuit. Actually had enough dough left over to make 2 little biscuits, so we got roughly about 14 biscuits here. Now I'm going to put these in oven at 450, excuse me, for about 10 minutes. Before I put those in the oven, I almost forgot an important step. I took a stick of butter and I melted it, and so I've got a silicone brush here, and I'm just going to brush the biscuits with butter before I make them, and I'll have some left over, so I'm going to use that after they get done. I'll brush them again with butter. This is going to help, of course it'll take off any flour residue that you might have on your biscuits still, but it will help to give it a good golden brown consistency. And my oven has preheated to 450. Now I'm going to put these in at 450 and let them cook for about 10 minutes, and then we'll take them out and look at them. Okay, let me show you this. I took the tinfoil off the table, and I still have a little bit of mess to clean up, but not like sticky dough to the table and everything else. So, and the tape didn't hurt my table at all, so I'll just take a wet washcloth and wipe this off, and it'll be good and clean. Okay, the biscuits are out of the oven, as you can see, and they're good and golden brown. I'm going to take my butter that I had left over that's melted, and I'm going to add it to the hot biscuits. Okay. Look at those biscuits. Don't they look just buttery and golden brown, and just, they look really good to me.